Hey, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, this is the place where we break down real investment opportunities in simple, straightforward language. Today we were talking about a stock that has caught the attention of some of the smartest investors in the world right now. A stock that has dropped over 40% from its all-time high, and no, that's not a warning sign. For many experienced investors, that is actually the opportunity. We're talking about Novo Nordisk, ticker symbol NVO. Currently trading around $55, so if you VA ever wanted to own a piece of a global healthcare giant at what looks like a serious discount, stay with me, because this video might be one of the most important ones you watch this year. Let me start by telling you who Novo Nordisk actually is, because a lot of people outside the investing world have unheard this name, and that is honestly surprising given how massive this company is. Novo Nordisk is a Danish pharmaceutical company that has been around since 1923, over 100 years in business. They are headquartered in Copenhagen, Denmark, and they operate in over 80 countries around the world. For decades, they were known as the world leader in diabetes care. Insulin, diabetes management devices, medications, Novo Nordisk essentially built the modern diabetes treatment industry. But then something happened that completely changed the game, not just for this company, but for the entire healthcare world. They developed a drug called semaglutide, might know it by its brand names, Ozempic for diabetes patients, and Wegovy for weight loss. And when these drugs hit the market, the world went absolutely crazy for them. Celebrities were talking about it. Doctors were prescribing it at record rates. People were losing significant amounts of weight. The demand was so high that there were actual shortages. Novo Nordisk's stock went from being a solid, reliable healthcare investment to becoming one of the fastest-growing large-cap stocks on the planet. At its peak, Novo Nordisk was actually the most valuable company in all of Europe, bigger than any European bank, any energy company, any luxury brand. That's how explosive this growth was. So now you're probably asking, if all of that is true, why is the stock down 40%? That is the most important question in this whole video, and the answer is, what makes this such an interesting moment? The decline came primarily because of one clinical trial result. In late 2024, Novo Nordisk released results from a trial called CagriSema, a next-generation weight loss drug that combines semaglutide with another compound. Analysts and investors were expecting massive weight loss numbers, something around 25% body weight reduction. The actual results came in around 22%. Now here's the thing. Minus 22% weight loss is still extraordinarily impressive by any medical standard. But because the market had priced in perfection, even a slightly lower than expected result caused a massive sell-off. Investors panicked. Stock dropped hard and fast. That is exactly the kind of overreaction that long-term investors look for. Think about it this way. The underlying business didn't change. Ozempic is still generating billions of dollars in revenue every single quarter. Wegovy is still being prescribed to millions of patients around the world. The demand for these drugs is not going anywhere, in fact. Obesity affects over 650 million adults worldwide, according to the World Health Organization, and that number is still rising. Type 2 diabetes is still one of the most common and growing diseases on the planet. The market that Novo Nordisk operates in is not shrinking. If anything, it is one of the most guaranteed growth markets in all of medicine. The stock fell because of a sentiment shift, not because of a fundamental collapse in the business. That distinction matters enormously when you're deciding whether to buy or run away. Now let's talk about the financials, because this is where Novo Nordisk really stands out as a compelling buy at current prices. The company brings in revenue that is growing year over year at impressive rates, largely driven by the GLP-1 drug category, which is the class of medications that includes Ozempic and Wegovy. They have strong profit margins, which means they actually keep a large portion of every dollar they earn. They pay a dividend, which is currently around 3.3%. Meaning, even while you wait for the stock to recover, you are getting paid just to hold it. And the stock is currently trading at a price-to-earnings ratio that is significantly more attractive than it was at its peak. In simple terms, you are getting more value for your money today than investors were getting just 1 year ago. When everyone was excited about the stock, let's also talk about competition, because that is the one real risk you need to understand before investing. Novo Nordisk is not the only company in the GLP-1 space. Eli Lilly, another American pharmaceutical giant, makes Mounjaro and Zepbound drugs that are in the same category and are performing very well. The competition between Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly is real, and it is intense. Some analysts believe Eli Lilly currently has the stronger pipeline. But here's the context. The global market for obesity and diabetes drugs is so large that it is not a winner-to-call situation. Multiple companies can succeed simultaneously in a market this size. Novo Nordisk has over a century of infrastructure, relationships, manufacturing capacity, and brand recognition in diabetes care specifically. They are not going to be pushed out of this market. They are going to have to fight harder, and they have the resources to do exactly that. The company is also not sitting still. They have a robust research pipeline beyond semaglutide. They are exploring treatments for heart disease, kidney disease, rare blood disorders, and even Alzheimer's disease. Their drug called semaglutide has already shown in clinical studies that it can reduce the risk of major cardiovascular events in patients with obesity, which is a massive development because it means these drugs are not just about weight loss anymore. They are becoming heart health medications too. That is a completely new and enormous market opening up for Novo Nordisk. And the stock price right now does not fully reflect that potential. So what does all of this mean for you as a potential investor? If you believe that obesity and diabetes are going to continue to be major global health challenges over the next decade, and all evidence says they absolutely will be, then Novo Nordisk is one of the most direct ways to invest in the solution to those challenges. You are buying a proven, profitable, dividend-paying company that has temporarily lost investor favor due to a clinical trial that still showed outstanding results. You are buying at a price that is more than 40% below the peak. You are getting paid a dividend while you wait. You have a long-term pipeline of drugs and research that could drive the next wave of growth. Now, of course, and I want to be very clear about this, nothing in this video is financial advice. Every investment carries risk. Pharmaceutical stocks in particular can be volatile because they are sensitive to trial results, regulatory decisions, and competition. You should always do your own research, consult with a financial advisor if needed, and only invest money that you can afford to have tied up for the long term. This video is purely for educational and informational purposes. I'm sharing what the analysis shows. But your financial decisions are yours to make. That said, Novo Nordisk, at around $55, is one of the most talked about value opportunities in the healthcare sector right now among long-term investors. A world-class company, a massive addressable market, strong financials, a dividend, and a stock price that reflects fear rather than fundamentals. That combination doesn't come around very often. If you've been looking for a stock in the $50 range that has real long-term potential, Novo Nordisk deserves a serious look. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who are trying to make smarter financial decisions. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a comment below and let me know. Are you watching Novo Nordisk? You already own it? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I'll see you in the next one.